Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It's the recap lunch hour with Guff, me, Ryan McGuffey here on the recap on a beautiful Friday. I mean, what a week. February. Adios. Adios to one of the toughest months of the year, certainly in the Midwest. Okay. And for the most part, it hasn't been all that bad from a weather standpoint, but from a sick and health and just the monotony of winter, adios. Welcome March tomorrow. The recap lunch hour ready to go for a Friday edition of whatever you want to throw at me. But unfortunately, the first thing we got to discuss is this one right here because it happened shortly after the recap lunch hour signed off yesterday. Trey Smith, the prize, and this is what I talked about in the last couple of weeks. I've been discussing. I'm concerned that there's general assumption that the Bears are landing Trey Smith and that we're all just like, yep, that's done. Next. And all along, I kept thinking, why in the hell would the Kansas City Chiefs let this guy walk when we just saw what happened in the Super Bowl? And what happens? Trey Smith going to be franchise tagged. He's going to be paid over $23 million. This gives the Chiefs time to work things out, work out a new deal, reallocate and redo some other contracts, including Patrick Mahomes, where they can move money around to manipulate the salary cap, which is a record $279.5 million, I believe, for 2025. So they can keep Trey Smith. I would be stunned if they didn't lock him up to a long-term deal. Now, there are situations where the Bears still have a chance, okay? Maybe they don't work out a deal and they do a sign and trade. We have seen that in this particular scenario. I think the quarterback in Kansas City is like, you're not letting that dude walk. So I've asked you, what are your creative plans for the Bears now in free agency? Do you have a creative plan? Okay, let's see. And I'm talking about not just free agency, but the draft. Does this change all the stuff about Ashton Genty? And I saw Genty commented about his visit with the Bears, and it was really good. I don't think Ashton Genty makes any more sense today than he did yesterday. Okay? Lip Ripper, what's up, buddy? Happy Friday is right. We do have some nice weather. A little windy, but I'm not complaining. The sun's out. The guns are out. It's nearing 60. We got 53 degrees as we speak right now. Erica saying it's not the end-all, be-all. I like the positivity here. I like the positivity. What's your plan, though, Erica? I know a Godfather. It's just another day that ends in Y. In this case, ER, the Godfather, coming down hard on Ryan Poles, saying my creative plan for the draft was to have someone else besides Ryan Poles do the drafting. Well, what about free agency? Because that's first. What's your plan for free agency? I mean, they need to attack and sign the center in Atlanta. Like that, they need to. And I'm wondering now, I haven't even looked, updated free agent rankings because Trey Smith was number 2 across the board on everybody's. So now you're looking at a situation, he comes off the board. A guy like Tevin Jenkins is probably going to get paid. And I'm not wanting the Bears to do that, by the way. I'm not. I'm not asking the Bears to do that. So Uncle Ted's got a plan. His plan is to go get some outside fast linebackers, make them edge rushers in round 2 or 3. Interesting. So maybe like Uncle Ted, you're thinking something like maybe like a smaller school linebacker who can play up front on the NFL. I like that. Or maybe just an absolute stud like Will Anderson was. He played at Alabama. He played that linebacker. Now he's an absolute beast as a defensive end. I was going left tackle in the draft before Trey Smith anyway. Well, you can have done both, Erica, because you're still going to need, even if you had a Trey Smith situation, you're still going to need a left tackle. The Bears are going to have 4 offensive linemen. I really believe that. 4 new offensive linemen. And I think they're going to sign 2. They're going to draft at least 1 that's going to be a starter. Maybe there's we know Darnell Wright's going to be part of the plan. What's up, Jess? Too bad about Trey Smith. Maybe Becton from the Eagles would be a solid signing for the O-line. Obviously, a lot of building will come from the draft, but good vets help train the future. No doubt. And that's why here I'm trying to pull up here. Trying to pull up the NFL free agent rankings. Because I'd like to see now that Trey Smith, like, I'm looking at all these, and these are done well before. These are done well before the franchise tag stuff. Like, number 2 is Trey Smith. He's off the board now, folks. He's off the board. So the next offensive lineman, this is Pro Football Focus, is Ronnie Stanley. But I think Ronnie Stanley is going to stay in Baltimore. I really do. Unless the Bears could, I would be interested in him in a small like 2-year deal at a high AAV. I just feel like he's staying in Baltimore. Then you got to keep going down. A lot of DBs, defensive safeties, which I could see the Bears addressing that. You go down to Cam Robinson, who is a tackle in Minnesota. That could be interesting. 95.1 pass blocking efficiency. It was the worst mark of his career. But that's how good he's been over the last 4 years. He was in Jacksonville prior to that. But see, like, people it's not as sexy, but offensive line, it's hard to get. Here, Drew Dahlman. That's who I keep talking about. Drew Dahlman is the center from Atlanta, but he's the guy, man. It says he's one of the best run-blocking centers in the NFL. We know who likes to run the football. The Chiefs are going to be in the market for another offensive lineman, but if they're keeping Trey Smith, then, I don't know if you can afford everyone. You're also moving Braxton Jones to left guard. Interesting. That's interesting. I don't hate it. Lip saying I would attack the offense on maybe Ronnie Stanley. I mean, you're certainly kicking the tires on Ronnie Stanley. You're going to draft the best O-line edge with 10 in the draft, and then draft Scatabo later in rounds. Definitely a big, Tevin. Adios. That's the easiest no of all time. Clyde, are there any other right guards that the Bears can get in free agency? That's a good alternative. So I'm coming down the line here. So it's Will Freeze, right? Not Fries, from the Colts is a guard. So could be the next guard to cash in during the free agency period after a wave of big deals landed in 2024. Unfortunately, he fractured his tibia in week 5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, underwent immediate surgery, but he earned an 86.8 PFF overall grade up to that point. So he's coming off of it. You're not going to like this. Who ranks 29th? Tevin Jenkins. Tevin Jenkins can get paid. Tevin Jenkins is getting paid. Not here, though. I would not do that here. So maybe Will Freeze. I think it's Freeze, by the way. Godfather says one good thing that's for the Bears is that Ricketts is in charge of free agency. Trey Smith, was he a guarantee he would come to Chicago? What are people smoking? And James, that's what I said here at the start of the show. I was concerned all along that there was too many. The fans were just going, Trey Smith's coming to the Bears. That's a done deal. Who's next? And it's just not that simple with free agency. He doesn't really want to leave Kansas City. And why would you? I'm with you on that, James. I was nervous that all this, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment is what was happening. I'm home from work. Clyde, not at work today. How about that? That's a good Friday. Eric, hope is that the Bears get the correct offensive lineman in free agency this year. Then you work on other positions afterwards. No doubt. I think you still got to sign 2. I'm with you, Pablo. I'm also not a big fan of Braxton Jones. I know Olin works with him, so Olin sees good in him. I know he was a project, but even the most loving parents pull their kids' bottle out of their hands and expect more. Or do we wait another 3 years? No. But we have seen guys evolve and grow when they've left Chicago. Okay, James Daniels comes to mind. Charles Leno. Here's an idea, says Giovanni. Draft a center. Giovanni, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm investing in one. I'm paying Drew Dahlman. And when usually in free agency, when you're paying somebody to come to, it's basically an admission of failure because you didn't get one in the draft at any point in the last couple of years. The center position has been so pathetic. We don't even have a guy in a shotgun formation that can get the ball back to the quarterback. That's got to change. Giovanni, I'm okay drafting one too, but now that Trey Smith is likely off the table, I think I'm lining everything up for Drew Dahlman. What about Kupp? I know that's not the Bears. Dude, I love Cooper Kupp. I love Cooper Kupp. I think he'd be fantastic here. What's that look like? I don't know. Like Chris Godwin, T. Higgins, obviously are the big names. He hasn't been cut yet. By the way, James Daniels ranks 35th on this. Could you bring James Daniels back? He's been pretty good, man. He got hurt again last year. But he's been, like, if you look at his games played, he tore his Achilles. He was having a career year. He's only 27, too. I mean, I think I forgot that he came here like at 20 years old. I think James Daniels is going to be interesting too. DeAndre Hopkins, no thanks. I don't think Cooper Kupp's in these rankings because technically, Keenan Allen's 44th, by the way. Technically, he has not been cut yet. So I don't think he's in these rankings. But I like the idea. I don't know what it costs. Swayze, with Smith off the table, that money can be used to possibly get us 3 guys on the O-line, something I've been advocating for. As long as a couple of, I don't hate that at all. If you go down and shop in like that 25 to 50 area, you get the number 1 center and then some of the other good guards. I think you're right, Swayze. Josh, Guff, are you ready for the weekend? It's time for beer 30 yet. Don't have one yet, but it's never got the workout in already. Never. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, Josh, right? It is about beer 30. I might have to have one in your honor later. My job doesn't work me 5 days, 40 hours a week like I need. Would you draft a new left tackle and center in the draft? I would sign a center. I would draft as many linemen as possible. Random question. Any chance you found those sons? I did. Dude, that is the most random question. I did. My wife stashed them somewhere I didn't know. They're in the car, though, Pablo, right now. Damn it. Had I known, I would have brought them in. They're in the car because now I know if I keep them there, I'm good. I take Ryan Kelly every day, twice on Sunday over Dahlman if his medicals check out. Okay. I'll say this. I like both. So you're right, James. Either way, we're addressing the position of need. And Eric, I'm right there with you, man. And when Cooper Kupp's healthy, I love him. I just also, I think about what this team needs. And it's just not high on my priority list. So, do you trust Poles to build an offensive line? I do not. He has a bad track record. Look, the only thing I can say, Godfather, is that we have to go off of what we've seen, and it's not been good. So, right now, the data suggests he's had issues building an O-line. I've said this on this show. I think this is as important a year as any GM in football, maybe outside of my guy Joe Shane in New York. This is as important of a offseason for that guy. Ben Johnson's, he's the doll, man. He's the princess that everybody wants to talk about right now, and rightfully so. He'll be judged in the fall. But right now, the Ryan Poles, the microscope is on. Ooh, okay. Rooney, this is what I'm talking about. When I ask you guys come up with a plan, Matthew Rooney right there, that's a plan. And it takes care of 2 of the 3 we were talking about. I think that's think about this. I'm not saying the Bears caught a break because I have zero problem with them resetting the market on a player. I could care less about you have the highest paid guard in football. The only time I would care about that is if it's like a Nate Davis situation where the guy doesn't give a shit, doesn't practice, doesn't show up, not there for his team. Then I would care. I don't care about signing the best dude at the highest price. I don't. But by missing out on Trey Smith, maybe it allows you a better plan to get I think Swayze was saying it. You get the 2 or 3 guys because of the one guy that you no longer have option to get. I like Rooney's plan there a lot. Lip Ripper says, here's a positive. I trust Ben Johnson to make sure Poles drafts players that he can work with and not just duds. Interesting take. And I think that's a very smart take that is like Ben Johnson's proven as long as he's not a Mike Martz situation. Remember when Martz insisted the Bears get rid of Greg Olsen so they can sign Brandon Manu Manuliola or whatever the hell his name was. Can't say that damn name, but and then Greg Olsen goes and has a near Hall of Fame career in the NFL. What an idiot. Swayze says, I definitely bring Cup aboard, but only if the teams eat most of the contract. Well, he's going to get cut, so the contract is null and void. He would get a new contract with the Bears. That's the beauty of the NFL contracts. It's also the crappy part for the player is that's why they call it not for long, and they're so worried about getting their guaranteed upfront money is because teams can get out from these deals 2 years, 3 years in. I love T. Higgins, says Erica. The guy makes every catch he throws away. Yeah, that's fine, but there's zero shot the Bears are going to – they don't need – he ranks – first of all, he's going to get paid big time. The Bengals are doing everything they can to keep him. And if they don't keep him, he's getting so much money. That would be a bad allocation of resources, in my opinion. Inane Glory says center and guard in free agency. Okay, I think we're all on the same page there. 3 draft picks should solve the line with insurance. I'm dead serious about this. I'm totally cool. 10, 39, 41. Line. And then you sign the 2 that you mentioned in free agency. You got 5 linemen right there, and now we're off and running with all of those picks still left in the NFL draft for this year. Don't hate it at all. There we go, Clyde. All the best, buddy. All the best. You're going to get yourself to the Sunday Sox game this year. I feel it. All the best, pal. We appreciate you, my man. Got to have those aviators handy. That way, every time you get the bet of the day right, like last night, you can slide those bad boys on for the next show. Pablo, man, I'm telling you, dude, you're such a friend of the program. Let's just see if I had another pair over here. You're such a friend of the program. You have the greatest ideas. I like that. When the bet of the day happens, the glasses go on. When I'm cashing a win. Do the Bulls keep Kobe White? Joe Cowley on our Bulls Recap podcast suggests him and Josh Giddey they don't really coexist like him and Io do. Io and Kobe White are essentially the same players on this team. They have too many guards as it is. So I think Kobe White is an attractive piece for other teams at this point. So I think in the offseason, along with Vooch, Kobe White will no longer be a Bull. That's my play. Rooney's a smart man. New Bears GM in the chat. He would be just fine. He's a good friend of the program, good football coach. Brandon Sheriff, Ryan Kelly, Matt Pryor in free agency, to be realistic. James, you got some good takes today, man. I wouldn't call you a regular in the chat, but I'm happy that you are because, damn, you're coming up with some good stuff. My guy, Tom. Ben Johnson has said, I love this quote too, I heard it, that a bullpen of O-linemen is necessary to complete a season. The Bears need bodies. Great point. I thought the bullpen analogy was really good, and he's right. I mean, kind of like a starting rotation in baseball. You need 8 to 10 starters in a baseball season because you're going to lose guys. Same with the offensive line. Look at how many starters went down on the defense for the Lions this year. And they kept plugging and playing guys that no one had ever heard of, and they were system plays, right? Guy goes down, next man up, that guy was hitting. Guy goes down, next man up, that guy's hitting. It's because when you play, when you build something with players that fit your scheme, your system, your culture, that you are planning and understanding that you can't put all your eggs in these 11 guys, that you need 53. That's a really good point. And that also means in those later rounds of the draft, you find those gems. I think Ryan Poles has found some gems in the mid to late rounds. He has. The offensive line situation, not so much. But this is more of a depth draft. Like, that's what's so weird about this draft. There's no, last year when there's all these quarterbacks and everyone's trading up and freaking out. This year, teams are wondering, do we draft Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders number 1 overall? I don't know. And I get it. Lip Ripper throwing some college baseball plays out there already. Tennessee -1.5. He's like Texas State -1 tonight. I should have saved this. I did have I hope you had Robert Morris last night, Lip Ripper. Of course. The Bears should have at least 3 new offensive linemen next season. Agreed. Kyle, what's up, man? Hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy whatever your plans are. Thank you, Kyle. I hope the same for you, my man. Should be a good one for sure. Angel Reesberger, a.k.a. the double McDribble, takes 15 attempts just to score one by. Wow, an Angel Reese slam. How about that on the lunch hour today? If they could get a left guard, center, right guard, and free agency, the possibilities are endless come draft time. 3 for 50 would be epic for us. I mean, it's like if they could get these 3 positions figured out in one day, yeah, I'm with you, Swade. I'm very curious to see how this goes, especially now. And I keep saying likely gone on Trey Smith because of the unlikely chance that he and the Chiefs can't come to an agreement and maybe it's a sign and trade situation. But now you're paying money and giving up resources. Cannibal says a good O-line can wear down the defense. That protect the defense, let them rest, and you wear them down. Just like the Eagles, man. The Eagles were that all damn year in the Super Bowl. How about this? You guys want to chime in here and help Clyde fix the current car or get another SUV? I would say, Clyde, my pick is always try to fix what you have. If the cost exceeds what the worth of the car is, it's time to punt, my friend. But anybody else that wants to chime in, chime in. We got Godfather says the Bears hired Tom Ricketts. He knows I signed a lot of cheap guys. My guy Brendan. Oh baby. I saw what this one's about. So you know what we do? We got to roll the animation, folks. We got a start bench cut. We have a start bench cut here on a Friday edition. Chime in with Brendan's start bench cut. Since March is around the corner, start bench cut, non-standard holidays. I like. All right. I think these are good. All right. So I'm definitely, Brendan knows this because I know where I know who he's starting. We're starting St. Patrick's Day. Come on, folks. It's the recap. Aaron Gobra, right? It's the recap lunch hour, for God's sakes, with Ryan McGuffey. Okay. It's St. Patrick's Day. Start. Cut. Flag Day. Which means bench. I did start, cut, start, bench, cut, bench, Flag Day, cut, Valentine's Day. Ooh. I know. Will the wifey like it? Valentine's Day. I'm 364 days a year. I treat that woman great. Vice versa. She's the best too. Valentine's Day, whatever. I could buy roses today that are 5 times cheaper than they were on Valentine's Day. Whatever. Hallmark holiday, but I'm going Patrick's, flag, Valentine's Day. You're damn right they did. They did exactly what I thought they'd do. Run away in the second half and hide and win by double digits. Almost, I think I handicapped that game dead on. Lisa Maria, what do we got here? Oh, boy. Okay. I think we got life is always beautiful when you have good health. Okay. I should probably scan the comments every once in a while before I just throw some stuff out there. Josh Gordon, Bears cap space around. Yes, and they can get it even closer, I think, by restructuring a few deals, but it's in the $75 million range right now. Matthew Rooney needs a college basketball player for tonight. I have one, as I've been playing college basketball at a pretty high rate here lately, guys. And for those of you like Lip Ripper and Chef Paul, who I don't see in the chat today, Chef Paul, that pizza's got to be getting warmer, my man, because you cashed another ticket last night. I'm looking for that easy street. I have one for you. You might not love it, Rooney. You might not love it, but I think I have a good feel for it. Jess has a comment for Clyde. If you already have shelled in the price of the car repair, it's time to shop for another one. That's exactly right. Jess has one for Brendan. She is starting Flag Day. I like it because summer in Chicago beats all holidays. Oh, boy. Brendan's going to have a field day with that because he's from Colorado. Just the nicest. Flag Day, underrated. You can flag it. It's very underrated. How are the Bears cap-wise? They're in the top 3. They have about $75 million. Lip Ripper wants to start St. Patrick's. Look at everyone's cutting Valentine's Day. Love it. Looks like Stafford's staying with the Rams. Is that news? I love when breaking news happens, by the way, on the lunch hour, and you guys give it to me because then there it is. Stafford agrees to restructure deal with the Rams. So that changes a lot. So Matthew Stafford is staying with the Rams, which doesn't surprise me, folks. It doesn't surprise me. He's restructured that keeps him in LA. He talked about contract parameters with the Giants and Raiders, and then they went back and did some negotiation. Our guy Joe Shane looking for a quarterback. Start Valentine's Day for Clyde. He's a romantic. What can I say? But I love no one's going to blame me for cutting Flag Day. All right. We don't have a Discord. Maybe we should, Uncle Ted. That's not a bad call. It's a head gas. Oh, boy. Now we're talking about the actual parts. There it is, Brendan. Those summers in Chicago. Oh, man. Too many Hallmark holidays. Sweetest Day. What's that? It's another Valentine's Day just in the fall. That's what it is, Godfather. Let's talk and let's get to our bet of the day. Cashed another ticket last night. Robert Morris -6.5, baby. Run away and hide is exactly what they did. Cashed another one late night on Cal State San Diego. So here you go, Rooney. And for all of you, I'm going Purdue. And here's the deal. I've been talking about get right games, and this team is desperate for one. The problem is UCLA has been playing well, but I always like these West Coast teams coming across the country and playing in a hostile environment. Now, look, UCLA, their veteran team, they've been on an up and down. They were really rolling. They had won 7 straight. Then they go to Illinois, they lose. Then they beat Indiana, big deal. Then they lose at Minnesota. They lose at Minnesota, and then they beat Ohio State in a game I watched last Sunday night. Might have had that 7.5. They haven't played all week, but Purdue is in desperate need of a get-right game. They've lost 4 in a row, and including a brutal loss, absolutely brutal loss to Indiana after being up 12 at the half. I'm laying the 5.5. I really like this spot for Purdue. I do. I think this is a good spot for Purdue, and Rooney's on it. Boiler up. I think you play right now. It's 5.5. I think you play it up to 6.5. I think that's a good spot. I wouldn't lay more than that. Matter of fact, I put it in already. I would be curious if that even comes down a tick, like 5.5, 5 to maybe 4.5. But it feels like some sharp money's moving towards Purdue. I'm on the Boilers. They need a get right game. I feel good about this spot. Josh says Boilermakers by 8. Hey, Josh, if that's the case, my friend, everyone here, we're cashing. And exactly. Sometimes it's about taking a 30,000-foot view of the game rather than like the analytical. I think even the analytics tell me Purdue's the play here. But I just look at the spot, where they are in the season, what the tournament's showing. This team needs a win desperately. I hate doing this, but I might live bet Purdue to see how they start. So there was a couple games last night. I played your Michigan lip ripper last night. That was pathetic. What a high scoring game. But I laid the 9.5, but I live bet Michigan too. And the fact that they won that game's Rutgers is a mess. They have 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA draft, and they're under 500. Makes no sense. It has been a while. It's Astro. It's been a while. Hope all's well. Loyola has been red hot lately, but we'll probably need to win the A10. It's probably true. And I wish we could bet those damn Illinois teams. It'd be fun to put those in there, except we can't. Stupid. Dead to me, says Lip Ripper with Michigan. Godfather, I have 5 kids and 13 grandchildren. With my wife and I, you're guaranteed 20 viewers. I'm not worthy, Godfather. I appreciate you. All right, there's the play, folks. Let's get one more cash this week, which I think would put us to that'd be a 3-2 week. We lost 2 games on free throws. I'm okay. I can live like that because I feel good about those picks. Kind of really rolling into conference tournament weekend as March turns the corner, and no one knows that better than Rooney. When we get together and start making some plays, the sky's the limit. All right. Well, the Cubs still haven't lost. They tied yesterday. It's spring training. The White Sox, a mess. They finally got a win, but they lost their left fielder, Andrew Benintendi. Everybody have a great weekend. Be safe. Take care of each other. Enjoy the weather. It is going to get a little colder here this weekend in Chicago. But, guys, March is here. It's coming. We're coming. The spring's coming. A lot of good stuff ahead, not just in weather, but right here on the recap. We'll have the recap rush hour later this afternoon, and then the Bulls with my guy, TSI Mike, handling the stream for the Bulls and Raptors, Toronto Sports Insider. That game will be later, and we'll have a recap when that game goes final. For everybody at the Recap, this has been the Recap Lunch Hour with me, Guff, Ryan McGuffey. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday.